A man famous for one thing and one thing only, bending spoons. His name is Uri Geller. If 11:11 only occupies 2 minutes out of every 24 hours, why does it feel like you see it constantly? Right now, in this exact moment, millions of people around the world are glancing at a clock and it is reading 11:11. They will feel a chill, a jit, a sense that something is speaking to them. They will stop, make a wish, or maybe even take a photo and post it online. This happens every single day to millions of people in every country on the earth. Now, here is what almost nobody knows. This entire phenomena, the spiritual meaning, the angel number, the idea that the universe is sending you a message, it did not come from ancient scripture. It did not come from a guru or a monk or a mystic tradition passed down for thousands of years. It came from one man, a man famous for one thing and one thing only, bending spoons with his mind on television. But that is not even the strangest part. In this video, I am going to show you exactly how 11:11 became one of the most recognized spiritual signs on this planet, traced back to a single person, a single claim in the 1980s. I'm going to show you what's actually happening in your brain every time you randomly glance at the clock at 11:11. And I am going to show you whether there is any real reason to believe it or whether you have been fooled by one of the most well-documented tricks your own mind plays on you. Stay till the end because the answer is more interesting than either side wants to admit. His name is Uri Geller. In the 1970s, he became one of the most famous men in the world by going on live television and bending metal spoons with what he claimed was the power of his mind. Millions watched. Many even believed him. But decades later, Geller made a different kind of claim, one that would spread far beyond his spoon tricks and end up living in the pocket of nearly every person on earth who owns a smartphone. In his own words, Geller described what happened to him. I started experiencing this rather bizarre occurrence when I was 40 years old. At first, I thought they were coincidences. I would stand with my back to a digital clock and something made me turn around. And I would notice that time would be 11:11. He said it kept happening. Hotel rooms on floor 11, room numbers 11:11, computers, microwaves, documents. So he wrote about it on his website. And then something happened that he did not expect. He was flooded with emails, hundreds of them, from people all over the world, all saying same version of the exact same thing. I thought it only happened to me. Therefore, a private, personal experience belonging to one man became a shared global phenomenon. Not because of evidence, because of reputation. But here is the detail that almost nobody mentions when they tell you the story. Geller was not even the first. Around the same time, a woman named Solara published a book. It was called 11:11, Inside the Doorway. And in it, she introduced something that did not exist in any ancient tradition before this. The idea of repeating digits as a spiritual signal. Numbers like 222 or 333 or 1111 appearing as a message from a higher intelligence. She popularized the practice of making a wish the moment you see 11:11, claiming the wish would be, in her words, potentized. But here is where it gets even more interesting. The term most people use today, angel numbers, was not ancient either. It was coined by a writer named Doreen Virtue in the early 2000s. Years later, Virtue converted to Christianity and publicly denounced angel numbers as something she no longer believed in. But the term she invented had already spread too far to pull back. It had a life of its own. Therefore, what most people assume as timeless spiritual wisdom turns out to be a series of individual claims made by individual people within the last 50 years. A self-proclaimed psychic, an author writing about doorways and dimensions, a writer who eventually walked away from her own concept. That is the actual origin chain. But none of that explains the one thing that should bother you. Why does it keep happening to you specifically? here is the question that should make you suspicious of your own mind. If 11:11 only occupies 2 minutes out of every 24 hours, roughly 0.14% of your entire day, why does it feel like you see it constantly? The answer has a name, and once you learn it, you will start noticing it everywhere, which ironically proves the point. It is called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, also known more scientifically as frequency illusion. Here is how it works. Frequency illusion and selective attention have a cause and effect relationship. Once something becomes meaningful to you, your brain starts treating it as a priority to detect. Your brain is constantly being bombarded with information, millions of data points every single second, numbers, sounds, faces, colors, and it cannot process all of it. So it filters ruthlessly. And once you assign meaning to something, once your brain decides this matters, it quickly moves that thing to the front of the queue. Here is the part that makes 11:11 the perfect trap for its exact mental glitch. Confirmation bias takes over once you have already started noticing the stimulus. And by focusing on it, you notice it even more, reinforcing the false idea that it is happening more often than it actually is. You don't see 11:11 more than 12:34 or 3:47 or 9:23. Mathematically, you glance at a clock at those random times just as often, but you don't assign meaning to them. So your brain discards them instantly. But 11:11 is different. It is symmetrical. It is memorable. It is being preloaded with spiritual significance by millions of social media posts before you even noticed it yourself. Therefore, the moment you read an article or watched an Instagram video or heard a friend mention 11:11, you essentially installed a search filter in your own brain. And now, it is doing exactly what you told it to do, finding 11:11 everywhere. But this is the quiz that changes everything. That does not mean the experience is meaningless. So this is it. Is 11:11 just a glitch, a trick, nothing more than your brain fooling itself? Not exactly. Because here is what the explanation above actually proves, even if it sounds like the opposite. Your attention is a tool and it is unbelievably powerful. Think about what frequency illusion actually demonstrates. It proves that the moment you decide something is significant, your brain reorganizes itself to notice that thing more, to prioritize it, to surface it from the noise. And that is not a flaw. That is the exact mechanism behind every manifestation technique that has ever existed. Psychologists have a name for that part of your brain responsible for filtering, the reticular activating system. It is the reason that when you buy a new car, suddenly start seeing that same car everywhere on the road. The cars did not multiply overnight. Your attention filter just changed. This is the reason job seekers who decide, I am going to find a new opportunity, suddenly start noticing openings they would have scrolled past a week earlier. 11:11 is not a supernatural signal from the universe, but it is a proof happening in real time in your own life that your mind can be trained to notice what you decide matters. Therefore, the people using 11:11 as a manifestation trigger are not entirely wrong. They have just misunderstood the mechanism. They think the universe is reaching out to them. What is actually happening is that they reached towards something first by assigning it a meaning, and their own brain rewired itself to find it. The clock is not doing anything magical, but you are. So let's talk about what people actually do when they see 11:11. Across spiritual communities, the practice is remarkably consistent. The moment 11:11 appears, you pause. You take a single conscious breath. You bring to your mind exactly what you want, clearly and specifically. And you hold that thought even briefly with full attention. Some people speak it out loud, and some people write it down later, and some simply close their eyes for a few seconds and feel it. It does sound small, but here is why it actually works. Regardless of whether you believe anything mystical is happening, most people spend their entire day reacting, scrolling, or multitasking, letting their attention get pulled in 15 directions by forces outside their control. And 11:11 functions as an interrupt, a forced pause, a moment where, at least for 10 seconds, you are required to stop, notice, and choose what to think about. In a world engineered to fragment your attention every 6 seconds with a notification, A self-imposed pause triggered by a clock might be one of the simplest tools available to reclaim it, but the ritual only works if you understand what it is actually doing. Not just summoning, not signaling to angels, but training your mind to notice on command the thing that you have decided matters most. Let's answer the question you came here for. Is 1111 a message from the universe? Well, there is no scientific evidence for that. It started with a stage performer who claimed psychic powers. It was popularized by a new age author. It was named by a writer who later disavowed it. That's the documented history. But is the experience of seeing 1111 and the practice of pausing, focusing, and setting an intention when you see it completely meaningless? A big no. Because what frequency illusion proves and what the reticular activating system demonstrates is something genuinely powerful. Your brain is constantly deciding what deserves your attention, and you have more influence over the decision that you have ever been told. 1111 is not a magic, but the underlying mechanism it accidentally activates focused, repeated attention on something you have decided matters. And that part is real, documented, and measurable. The ancient traditions that we have explored in the other videos called this intention. Modern psychology calls it selective attention and cognitive priming. Different language, but same underlying truth. Therefore, you don't need 1111 specifically. But if seeing it gives you a reliable, repeatable trigger to pause and refocus your mind on what you actually want, that is not foolish. That is just human psychology used intentionally instead of accidentally. So here is where we land. A spoon-bending entertainer, a new age author, a term that its own creator eventually rejected, that is the real origin of one of the most widely recognized spiritual signs on this planet. But strip away the mythology, and underneath it is something that is not fake at all. A documented, well-researched fact about how the human brain works. What you decide to pay attention to, your brain will start finding more of it. Not because the universe is rearranging itself around you, because you are rearranging your own attention in real time every single day. So the next time you glance at the clock and it reads 11:11, you don't have to believe in angels to use that moment. Take a pause, one breath, and one clear thought about what you actually want. Not because the universe sent you a sign, but because you just proved in that exact instant that your mind is paying attention to whatever that you have trained it to notice. And that is not mysticism, that is just yours to use. If this changed how you think about 1111, share it with that person who always texts you a screenshot of their clock. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more.